Hello there, YouTube. It is I, Gogeta48, posting, well, what I would call my favourite deck of the Dueling World over my Synchron deck. This is my Elemental Hero deck, and I have been running Elemental Heroes pretty much since they first came out, and I have stuck by them through thick and thin, as a dedicated duelist should. So, starting off the bat, this is based off the new Omni Heroes. I do prefer the old style heroes that Jane originally used, but their effects and the number of monsters to make them, it's a challenge, but I'm going with an easier style deck. So, first off, I'll start on the water elements. So, first off, this deck runs 1 Ice Edge, followed by 2 Ocean. I don't try and triplicate if I can. Some monsters I do have to triplicate because it's suitable for the elements that are needed. In the Earth section, 2 Woodsman, of course, just to get my Polymerization from the deck to my hand the quickest way possible, and 2 non-trap affecting wildheart, so that gets passed on to tribute and a lot of other little painful, annoying cards. Next up, we have Elemental Hero Voltic. Of course, is to return any removed from play monsters back to my deck. I haven't actually ever used him once. Most of these cards are used from the Elemental Hero manga series, so I do like them for the fact that they are something new. Some of them even have better effects, so it's all good. Flash is to basically empty out the deck. Mostly, I would probably use it on the fusion monsters fusion element heroes that get sent to the graveyard, because then it means I can replenish them with the effects of Voltic or Shining. Prisma, of course, uses effect more than likely to use it with the only fusion that I can use in this deck, and that would be my Elemental Hero, Wild Wingman. Use him, of course, to get Stratos or a wildheart to the graveyard, just to add a little bit of context away. I wouldn't probably use him any other reason. It's just another fact. He's just a light monster, which also helps for Shining. And finally, also for the light elements, we uprun 2 Neos Alius. Now, the entirety of the deck all runs at level 4 and lower, so I have no sacrifices, and that's probably something I should probably work on next. In the wind element, we got 1 Avion, and then finally for the in the wind elements, we got 1 Stratos. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with Stratos, so there's no point explaining him. And finally, of the heroes, we've got the fire element. I decided not to go with Bastionetrix. I chose the Elemental Hero of Heat due to the fact he's probably stronger, being that even though he's a 1600 original, his attack points go straight to 1800 because due to the fact of every face-up Elemental Hero, he goes by 200 attack. So he's an instant 1800, making him a good strong fire type to use. Yeah, hopefully I'm not talking too fast. I'm a bit bad at that. The last 2 of the monster section, we've got 2 Supply, an Earth Element level 4. So this basically replenishes, say if I used these 2 in a fusion, get them play them face down, flip them up, get my 2 heroes back. It's a good use to replenish any monsters that can be used. So say Stratos and Ocean, bring them back, and let's just repeat the process. And finally, 2 King of the Swamp, get Polymerization to my hand, and it's a water element, so it all adds into fusion material usage. Now, as a hero deck, plenty will probably agree that most hero decks are spell reliant. They use a lot of spell cards over the course of over more so than having monsters themselves. Some decks tend to have low monster counts and have a huge amount of spell cards, but that's where the difficulty comes in, because that's where the difficulty with using too many spells comes in, because heroes have that biggest weakness. If you cut off their spells, you're pretty much just screwed from the start. So I'm trying to make up a difference and just try and balance out the warriors with the monsters and with the spells and traps, pretty much. So yeah, in spell cards, the first off, we got, of course, the old-time favorites card, Super Polymerization. Basically not even a speed spell 3 can beat it, so I would like to claim this as a speed spell 4. Something that can't be beaten by can't even be chained onto, pretty much. So yeah, and it makes use of, so say someone plays Stardust Dragon, when the new hero creates when it comes out, it'd be perfect. Or someone plays a spellcaster deck that uses mostly light majority, Once again, it's all useful because once the last two Omni heroes come out, Great Tornado, of course, coming in the next legendary set, and the Dark one, can't pronounce that name for the life of me, coming out of the Dark set and coming in the final GX manga. I'm pretty sure that heroes will probably have a new stand of of greatness, I guess. 2 mass change, of course, since the new heroes came out, the new mask heroes. Why not throw them in? Goka, Vapor, perfect choice with this deck. It's an added bit of variety, and plus it makes a good use because it's a quick play spell, so you allows you to either attack twice or dodge nasty cards like Fiendish Chain, or even if you were to say, I don't know, play Safe Zone to stop a monster from direct attack, and Mass Change will sort that out by making your monster a dude monster. Yeah. Free Miracle Fusion, of course. No deck is set without, no hero deck really cannot go without it, really. Send a monster to the remove from play zone to get new fusions. Doesn't work for Miracle, it doesn't work for Vision Hero Sally, so that's one downside. But that's why I've got the all-time favorite of a hero deck, Polymerization. You can't, in all honesty, you cannot go with a hero deck and not really have at least 2 Polymerization in a deck. It just sort of feels like, even if you have like 3 Fusion Gale or 3 Dark Miracle Fusion, it doesn't feel right without having the genuine cards that start it all off. 1 hero lives. Might put 2 in. It's a cause. Cause is the whole point of like life point cost, and is it really worth it? Personally, I would say that hero lives is the only option card left. So say like you've got 1 monster in your hand and that in your hand as well, and you can't possibly do anything. So say Stratos is already gone, you've got nothing. So to get out level 4 monster maybe, and at least try and bring out something. So that's probably my only way of getting, say, Utopia, or if I had a chance, no, anything really to cause some issue to my opponent. 2 Emergency Call, my drawers, of course, another important card, and 2 Righteous Justice. Don't run the H, don't run the O, because the deck doesn't run any normal, apart from Avium, any normal hero, so no real point in putting the O in. Might contemplate it with Neos later on. And finally, 1 Field Spell, Fusion Gates. They're just to make up the difference. So entirely the deck runs on a Fusion Gate, the Polymerization, the Miracle Fusion, and the Super Polymerization. 4 different fusion type cards, 1 a field, 1 that can't be stopped, and pretty much just field, hand, and graveyard removal types. So it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, the spell card listing is 15 spells. The 20 monsters are 23. This is a 45 card deck, as I feel that 45 just sort of sets the right amount. Plus, it also gives you a slight increase of advantage. Should your opponent try to deck you out, you can now deck them. Well, you never know. It's always good. Okay, next up, one of the best cards for a fusion deck, Paradox Fusion. Really cannot say any more. Remove a fusion, just negate an activation of a spell, trap, or special summon. I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was special summon a monster and destroy it, and during your second end phase, the monster comes back. Best way to send absolute 0, and boom, blow up their field and destroy spell and traps, negate a monster, summoning, or spell and trap. I think that's a win-win combination if you ask me. My classic card, Fiendish Chain. Best way to stop effect monsters, Scrap Dragon mostly. Remove from players like Chaos Sorcerer, pain in the ass cards like that. Mirror Force, of course, for basically want to hold on to the monsters you've got and store for time. A Chain Material, probably a last resort thing. If I had like Fusion Gates, I can then go 5 different fusions at absolute 0 and 4 others. Then afterwards fuse them all together. Fuse each one separately to make their own swarm. So like say you have Shining, Nova Master, no, Shining absolute 0, Adoration, maybe and Trinity. Then fuse Trinity and Adoration, make another Adoration, Nova Master, and say absolute 0 to make another Nova Master. And then Shining's like probably got huge attack points like that. So basically just say if you have 1 more monster in your hand, fuse Shining with that monster, and then boom, you've got 3 monsters on the field. 1 that's got the unbelievable attack power, and 2 that cannot and 2 that won't disappear from the fields. I would pretty see it. And you get the bloody problems field as well, thanks to absolute 0. And then finally we have 2 hero signal to draw the heroes out should one be destroyed. The best way to do it is to have, I would say, is like supply. When that's flipped and gone, bring out Wild Woodsman. At least then you've got Polymerization during your next turn if he survives. Yeah. Okay, extra deck. 15 card extra deck, 14 fusion, 1 numbers. Yes, I have an Xyz monster in here. First off, the strongest, probably the best card of the deck, and one of my favorites for its type. It's the Vision Hero Adoration, an attack point decreaser. So for any hero you've got, you pick one hero on your side of the field, except himself, and a monster your opponent controls, and basically they lose attack and defense by the attack point of the monster he decreases. So 2 of these, and you can decrease 2 monsters by 2800 on both ends. I think that's a pretty good settlement. I have 3, but run 2. Nova Master, Fire Element, Drawer, new brilliant cards. Very nice. Something, what, Mexican, maybe Spanish. 3 Devil May Cry monster lookalikes, The Shining. I'm sure if anybody's seen Devil May Cry 4, you could probably say that he would look like those knights with the wings. I say that, but everybody has their own opinions. Good card, and my strongest, probably the strongest monster of the entire deck due to the fact of the remove from place thanks to Flash, Miracle Fusion, and Fusion Gate. Next up, we have 2 Absolute Zero, blow up the field, and pretty much just a staller. Good card. Bloody PS3. Trinity, triple attacker. I've played the Blackwing deck before. They haven't had a back row on the. This is more the Tag Force 5 though, of course. So played him, and it's basically a first turn kill. I enjoyed that a lot, very much so. Numbers: number 26, Utopia. 29, of course, Utopia, or Aspiring Emperor Hope, as I would have preferred the name to have been called. I'm pretty sure you can all agree that with loads of number 4s in this deck, loads of level 4 monsters deck, it's probably best to at least have 1 here. It makes up a difference, and it could make the difference in a type of duel at some points. Mask Hero Vapor, Send Ocean or Absolute Zero, or say attack with Ice Edge directly, destroy a back row card, play him, and then attack again. Gaia, more there to take out an Eteria Beast or an Eteria Fusion monster, since it negates spell traps or spell and trap. So he's my ace in the hole with Super Polymerization. Goka, of course, fire element, make flame, instead of having element here, the heat, make him stronger, make him mask hero Goka. And finally, my back row killer, Wild Wingman. That's my setup, yeah. So that is my entirety of my extra deck, normal monsters and that. With a 7 trap setup, a 15 spell card and 23 monster. That is my 45 cards set. Hope you've enjoyed this. This is Gogeta48 signing off, and going to be reposting a new synchro deck of mine, which is hopefully been a bit more involved than my last one. Signing out.